medicinal chemistry and materials and nanoscience room. Just a reminder that that is this room, so if you are in the wrong room, we'll send a doc shortly with the rest of the links, and you can sort of figure out where you're supposed to be and actually hear information relevant to your program. So I'm going to share my screen here. I will have a quick presentation, and then the advisors will speak, and you'll hear from some student panelists. So we'll get started right away.
Okay, sorry, I missed everything. I had to leave quickly.
Yeah, no worries. We're just getting the presentation up and then we'll get started.
Okay, good. My dog was barking and then someone at the door.
So Haley, I don't see a chat window. Are we using the chat feature for this meeting?
Yes, we will be using the chat window. There is a little like chat bubble at the bottom that if you click it, the chat should open. But all of the questions will also be transferred into the doc that you'll receive.
Okay.
So, once again, welcome everyone to the Successful Sciences Chem, MedChem, and MNS room. In today's session, we'll have a welcome and introduction to chemistry, MedChem, and materials and nanosciences. You'll meet your academic advisors, and then we'll talk about how to get ready for your program, classes, and life outside of the classroom. As well, we'll talk about the next steps, so what you should do after this meeting, and then we'll have a student panel and Q&A where you can ask them any questions about their programs or their student life and things like that. So I'll pass things off to the advisors for the rest of the presentation.
Okay, welcome everybody. Glad we could finally get this together. And yeah, the first slide we're looking at is sort of the important, well, we're all important, but people that have sort of guide the ship. We have our sort of the principal of the chemistry department is our department chair. He makes a lot of the decisions of what's going on in the department. Mike Chong, you could sort of think he's the vice principal. He does a lot of the legwork and helps with making decisions about curriculum in the courses. Julie Sakazi is the undergrad coordinator, and she's a wealth of information. If you need help with anything that's going on in the chemistry department, she's in the front desk in the chemistry office, and you can also if you can email me first as an advisor, and then if I don't know, I'll email Julie. Another very important person to know is your first year chem lab instructors. In fact, your lab instructors, you probably will get to know a lot more than your course instructors because you'll see them every week and they talk to you all the time. I'm going to just share my screen if this works. And so hopefully can everybody see the chemistry website? No, can't share my screen. Let's see.
Steve, I think you need to press request control at the top.
Okay. And where is that? This meeting's recording.
We can see it now.
Oh, you can see it now? Okay, good. this is a website that you should go take a look at. And I'll go look at the chemistry and the physics, but the chemistry website has a lot of information for you to go look at. And it's got current events. It has different things on the side about events that are going on, or things that are sort of hot topics. Also, we have a look at our people here, research. So the research page also gives you, all the different fields that you can possibly go into: analytical, nano, physical, bio, organic, polymer, inorganic. And each one of these, then you can also click on and take a look at their research, and go through these, because it's quite interesting to see what everybody does. Okay, so I'll go back, and then another important thing is current undergraduate students. And when you click on this, it gives you a lot of different information. These are links right to the calendar, undergraduate calendar. This also gives you undergrad course offerings. So this gives you a look at all the different courses that are being taught in the fall by the chemistry department. And then these are all links to the outline of those courses, so you can take a look at all your courses this semester and what you'll be taking. Also, what you need to be looking at is program electives. And so this won't happen right away, but you will have to be taking a bunch of program electives as you go through, and so you can look at these and see what different program electives you need to take, or you might want to take. And also fourth year courses. Fourth year courses, it's a long way off, but they're here. You can take a look at them now and sort of say, okay, here's computational chemistry, organic electronic material synthesis. So all of these links will give you a good idea of what you'll be taking in the future. Now, physics has the same thing, and so go through these as well. The people, their research that they're doing. Look at different systems for materials and nanoscience. Take a look at all this information. All right, so I just wanted to make you guys aware of that. But go through those, and yeah, it's quite interesting just to look at what all the research people are doing and what possibly you may get yourself into. So hopefully I stopped sharing. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I believe that I am back sharing the presentation, and you can continue.
Okay.
You're muted, Steve.
Steve, you're muted.
Sorry, I don't know how that happened. All right, thanks. Hi, I'm Dr. Stephen Forsey. I'm mostly the medicinal chemistry advisor, and so all the medicinal chemistry students come talk to me. But also, if you have any chemistry advising, if Laura's not available, or if you just want to talk to me or Laura, it doesn't really matter. And we will help you with your course selections and any other problems you may be having. Laura?
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Dr. Ingram. I am the main advisor for chemistry. But like Dr. Forsey said, we kind of share duties. So if you're in medicinal chemistry, you might also be talking to me. And as advisors, we help you with all sorts of things like course selection, course planning, and stuff. And we'll talk about that a bit later in the talk.
Hi guys, my name's Rick Marta, and I'm a lecturer and also the MNS or Materials and Nanosciences Advisor. So for all the MNS students here, not only will I be your advisor for the next several years, I'm also going to be your instructor. So everybody who is here today and is an MNS student, I look forward to seeing you, so to speak, online in my MNS 101 course. And as Steve and Laura have said, I'm basically here for anything you need. If you have any questions about your courses, if you run into any issues during your time here, my job is to help you. So please reach out for me. No questions or dumb questions. I'm happy to help, and I'm really happy to be here with you guys today.
Okay, so I think this is me. We are, as we've indicated, we are here to support you. So what do your academic advisors do? Well, they first and foremost, we provide academic support. So if you are wondering about course selections or academic grades, if you're interested in changing your major or adding a minor or a specialization, okay? For some of you, maybe not this year, but in the future, there might be opportunities to plan for an international exchange, so we can help with that. Every term, we review your progress, so we make decisions on your academic standings, whether you're satisfactory, good, excellent, or conditional, probational, those kind of things. If you are in co-op and you're considering changing your work term sequence, okay, you absolutely must consult with us first. You can never change your work term sequence without talking to us. And in most cases, you don't really want to change your work term sequence. They are designed to give you the best progression through your career. But if you find yourself in a rare situation where you need to explore this option, you should definitely reach out to us first. And if you are thinking about dropping a course or swapping a course, or a course isn't going well and you might be at risk of failing it, make sure you reach out to us so we can help you explore all of your options. So that is our main role in academic support. Okay, we also do referrals, and so if we can't help you, we can connect you with those that can. Okay, we can help you with or connect you with people who do career planning. And general inquiries, the point is, if you're not sure who to ask, start with us. And if you look at the student group chats and stuff, there's a lot of times where first year students will post a question and all of the upper year students will just reply with, ask your advisor, ask your advisor, ask your advisor, because that's what we're here for. And so we will either answer the question or do the appropriate research and connections to make sure you get all of your questions answered. So this slide just gives you an overview of our community. Okay, these are the people you would be seeing face to face if it were not for COVID-19. This year, it's the people you will be interacting with virtually through the screens. And so we've got our professors and instructors of your courses. Okay, like Rick said, he will teach all MNS students in MNS 101. I will teach all of you in Chem 121. And so we are looking forward to connecting with you that way. If you are taking lab courses, you will have lab instructors. In all of your courses, or almost all of your courses, you will have graduate student teaching assistants. Okay, and there's also lots of opportunities to connect with upper year students in your respective departments. Okay, and two of the key opportunities you want to take a look at are Chem Club and the MNS Society.
Okay, so how do I request control?
Let me just stop sharing my screen and then you should be able to take over.
Thank you. So isn't there a request control option here?
Just go open share tray and then click your window that you want to use.
Oh, so I just was going to use the presentation that is being used. I did not take control.
No.
Okay.
So I can share it again and then
No, it's okay.
Yeah, just say next.
yeah, you
Yeah,
can
okay, I'll do perfect. Do that. Thank you.
Okay, 1 second. All right, here we are.
Okay. All right, guys. So I'm going to give you some tips here to help you for what you should know coming into first year. Next, please. So one thing here, it really depends on your high school, of course, and note the slide here, it says in some high schools, because everybody's experience is different. But just as a contrast here between, in general, between university, first year university and high school. So maybe in high school, you did not have to prepare as much before coming to class. The teachers would teach most of the material that you were responsible for in class. You know, you had homework assigned to do outside of the classroom and not so much independent work. But in university, it'll be expected that you've prepared at least a little bit ahead before each lecture. That's a really good tactic for being able to absorb that information when it comes to. And you're going to be in an online learning environment, so it'll be different than it's been in the past, but that type of skill is important for you in order to succeed. You're going to find that your instructors don't cover everything in class. Typically, they're going to focus on main concepts or concepts that are typically and traditionally challenging, so that they can help you guide you through those concepts. It's important that you put in just as much time outside of class as you do in class in terms of reviewing the material. And what you'll probably notice is a lot of the courses, and even more so now because we're in an online environment, will have many low stake assessments. For example, maybe your assignments are only worth 10%. And then there'll be higher stakes tests. But again, compared to the past, it's been advised to most instructors to have slightly lower assessments than traditionally. For example, having an exam where 70% is not recommended. It's not to say it may not occur, but you'll probably find a lot of your tests now are lower in percentages, maybe 20 to 30% each, but the assignments will be worth the least. Some assignments are just completely for practice and won't even be graded. So you'll notice the contrast here. You can really look at it as about 80% of your learning being outside of the class. But don't think you're alone. Your instructors are there to support you. In many of your classes, you will have experienced TAs, teaching assistants to help you. It's very important to know that you're never alone and to seek out and get support when you need it. Next slide, please. All right, so you're going to hear this a lot, and repetition is good. So because we're talking about being online here, the most important site for each of your courses is going to be Learn. So when you access Learn, you'll see the courses that you're enrolled in with their Learn website, and that will go live on September 8th at like 12 a.m. probably, as soon as the day begins. And so when you access those courses, that's where all of your information will be posted. And again, it depends on the instructor what they will post there. For example, in my course, I'll just use mine as an example. I will post lecture videos in advance. I will post detailed course notes. I will post my annotated notes, meaning the notes that I take during my lecture. Another useful feature in Learn is when you first access it and you see your courses, if you notice there will be a sidebar. I won't click to the web page. I can explain it. But when you go into Learn, there will be a sidebar and you'll see important announcements coming from the Science Undergrad Office. And it's called SciSpace, and you can always click on the link if you want more information. But throughout the term, I strongly suggest always taking a look at that because it's really there to help you with important dates and things like that. Quest, this is what you'll use to choose your courses, and you'll see your course schedule. It's extremely useful. Because you're in first year, at first your required courses will be chosen for you, but soon enough you'll be choosing your own courses, and you can do that through Quest. Email, this is important. Always use your @UWaterloo email address to contact your instructors or anybody to support you, your advisors like us. And it's not because I'm going to ignore your email, absolutely not. Unfortunately, if you use Gmail or Hotmail, there's a higher probability of it going to a junk or spam folder. So anything other than Waterloo is a risk. If you want to forward your UWaterloo emails to your favorite email, that's fine. But when you connect with anybody here, make sure you send from your UWaterloo email address, okay? Next slide, please. All right, so Laura mentioned this earlier. So after your first term in 1A, for example, after this fall, you will be assessed based on your and given an academic standing. To give you an idea of what we're looking for here, anything 80% or higher is excellent. I'll start with the best here. 70 to 79, good. 60 to 69, satisfactory. But then under 60%, it would be unsatisfactory. And I won't get into anything negative here, but at that stage, you would have to go to general science, be removed from honors, but it does not mean you could not come back in again if you raise your grades. Okay, I just want to make sure I mention that. So the key number here is to maintain your average, both for your science courses. Science courses means not courses in math, for example, which all of you take, courses in physics, chemistry, MNS, biology, etc. You need to keep those courses above a 60% average as well. And then your overall average, which would include courses like math. So 60. Thank you. Oh, okay. You can go next. Is good. Thank you very much. So, can we go back to the unit slide there? Thank you. There we go. So this is a degree at a glance, and it can be a little confusing, and we know this. So that's why we made this slide. You're going to see that for Chem, MedChem, and MNS, there's a total number of what we call units in order to fulfill the graduation requirements or the degree requirements. And coincidentally, all three for your calendar year, which is 2021, are all 22 total units. But you can see they're slightly different in each of the programs, the way they're distributed. So required courses are courses you must take. Okay, there's no way to get out of that. Program electives, which Steve mentioned earlier, are courses that you do have some choice from, actually quite a bit of choice. However, you must still take that minimum number of them in terms of units. And then finally, for free electives, those are the courses that you can take just because you like them. Okay, those are, say you have an interest in psychology or history, medieval studies, languages, that's what free electives are. And then finally, among all three of the different programs, there are fourth-year research projects, which are very popular. In MedChem, they're required, so you would have to take it, MedChem students. In Chem and MNS, they are optional. And this allows you to work with one of your favorite professors or somebody you want to do research with in your senior year to get some actual lab, real research experience. This is an excellent idea if you plan to go on to graduate school to do a master's or PhD, for example. I'll just add for MNS students, that can be a research project in physics and or chemistry. You have, because MNS is effectively 50% chemistry and 50% physics, you have a little bit extra option there. One more thing to mention about this idea of units. It's a little confusing, so I'm going to try and get rid of that. Lecture courses, most of them, where you are in a class and it's not a laboratory, are worth 0.5 units, okay? A lab is often 0.25 unit, or it can also be 0.5 unit. It really is based on the amount of time that you spend in that particular course or lab. Okay, so 0.25 units is normally a lab that you might attend every 2 weeks or so, for example. I hope that's clear. Next slide, please.
And can I interrupt for one sec?
Oh, please, yeah.
Just go back one slide, thanks. I think it's important to know that the Chem and MedChem are sort of interchangeable. So the MedChem degree is based on the chemistry degree. So the 11.5 units for the Chem degree is also in the MedChem degree. And what the MedChem degree has done is taking all of those electives and then filled them up with the required courses that are medicinal chemistry based. If at any time you want to switch from a MedChem to chemistry, you can. So in your third year, you're saying, oh, I like inorganic and battery chemistry more. It is an easy switch to go to MedChem into chemistry. And you can contact Laura or I, and we can do that. Or if you're chemistry and you really like the sort of the biological medicinal chemistry side of things, you can go from chemistry to MedChem. All right, so it's important to realize that the Chem and MedChem are very, very interchangeable at any time during your career. All right, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Okay, so an important date to keep in mind, and we'll show you there. You'll have a link offered in this presentation to an important dates website. It is something you definitely want to bookmark. So for example, don't memorize this. You can look it up on the important dates website. But for example, you will choose one course, Chem and MedChem students, on September 24th because you have your first elective. The required courses that I mentioned earlier will be added automatically for you. After first year, which I know is a long way away still, then you will choose your own courses. So it's important that you follow the calendar plan that you are enrolled in. And if you have any questions, always ask us. We're happy to help you. That's what we're here for. Sorry, MNS students, you don't have a free elective in the winter, so your courses will be chosen for you. You will get your electives later on in your career. So there's a link here, and you guys will have access to these slides. I'm under the impression. So make sure you click the links here. And this can show you when courses are offered, and it's very helpful. It can give you a course description. So there's lots of useful information there. And again, if anything is confusing and you click on these and you're like, well, I was told it's useful and I can't find anything, please don't hesitate to contact us. Next slide, please. So I mentioned some useful links. So these are great, and I won't go through and click on all these. I want you guys to do it. And if you have any trouble, contact me. I know I repeat myself often, but I want you to know that, again, I'm here to help you. So we have the undergraduate calendar, and if you access that, you'll be able to see your degree, all the rules for your program, degree requirements. And I won't lie, it can be a little overwhelming. So anything you're trying to find, please contact us if you're having trouble. The schedule of classes, if you click on that link, that one's pretty straightforward. For each term, you can put in the code. For example, you could put in, sorry to be biased here, but you could put in MNS, you can choose it. You can type in 101 and you will see the class, you'll see the number of seats available, you'll see the instructor if you have questions. The instructor's not always listed right away, but they are now, for example. And that way, if you have any particular course-based questions, you can just find out who they are and contact them. And then finally, the really important one, important dates. And it's a really nice interactive calendar. I use it all the time as an advisor and instructor. It's helpful for me as well. So make sure you bookmark these in your smartphone or on your computer. You'll find them really useful. Next, please. All right, so I'm finished talking here, and I'm going to hand it over to Laura. And again, I just want to say that welcome to you, Waterloo guys. I'm looking forward to working with you, and for a lot of you, I'm looking forward to teaching you. See you later.
All right. So in case you haven't gotten the impression that we're here to help, we're here to help. And this is especially important because of this unique term, okay? When you started planning to apply to universities, nobody pictured all of us sitting at home at our desks not being face-to-face to help you. But we really need you to know that all of the resources that were in place for your in-person schooling are also in place for your virtual 1A term. So we just got some, so if you ever want to come back to this presentation, it's like, well, who do I go to? Where do I go? So if you need course specific help, so you are in Chem 121 and you don't understand example 3 in module 2, where do you go? We will have course discussion pages. Okay, you can reach out to your instructors and your teaching assistants. There will always be information in Learn. Okay, and the Living Learning community for Chem 121 anyway has test prep sessions. So these will be online tutoring sessions before the tests. And every Wednesday evening for Chem 121, there will be virtual tutoring sessions done through the Living Learning community. So that's course specific help if you find yourself needing it. We can progress here. The other place to help is these are also academic advisors. So Steve, Rick, and I are program-specific academic advisors. The Science Undergrad Office advisors specialize in helping first-year students. Okay, so you can reach out to, you see this email address here, scienceadvisor@uwaterloo.ca. They deal with all kinds of general inquiries. Sometimes they deal with the inquiries themselves. Sometimes they loop us program advisors in for specific questions and requests. Okay, so the Science Advisor email is a great starting point for you guys if you are unsure where to start. But the advisors are here. And the last slide. Who can you ask for help when it comes to things outside of your courses or your academics? So academic and life skills, we've got Student Success Office, we've got the Writing Center, there's Science Transition Coach. Okay, for your wellness, we have counseling services, health services, athletics and recreation. MATES is a fantastic program that I think you'll learn more about as you start your undergraduate career. And social, okay, one of the many science clubs that we pointed out or talked about earlier, we have Chem Club, Phys Club, the MNS Society. And it is going to take a little bit more effort on your part to get involved because we're all sitting at home. And so that will provide a little bit more challenge, but we really, really encourage you to reach out to upper year students when you can, reach out to these social clubs and really try to enhance your first year experience, even though it is totally virtual. So I think that wraps up our advisor portion. Haley, I don't know if we move to Q&A or what happens next, but.
Yeah, so we have a student panel next with undergraduate students that can answer any questions. So first of all, thank you to the advisors for all of your information and guidance. If you are going to first year in any of these programs, feel free to type any of your questions that you have in the chat and our panelists will answer them. So I'll pass things over to the panelists if they want to share their camera and introduce themselves, and then we'll do a little Q&A.
Hey there.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, so who wants to go first?
I can, I guess.
Okay.
Alrighty. So my name is Lily. I'm in my 4A term of honors chemistry. I've been a part of a lot of different things at the university. So volunteering, so chemistry club is a great way to get involved if you want to do usually like lab events. It used to just be like a chill place to hang out in person, but we do have like an online Discord community. I think we'll still be doing like trivia events. There are also things like Let's Talk Science. I've been involved with archery club, sports teams, stuff like that. I have had 4 co-op jobs. 3 of them were related to kind of material science, so 3D printing of metals, which I think is pretty cool. Co-op actually helped me realize that research is not my thing at all, and I prefer teaching. So my second co-op was actually with Laura Ingram, and I taught high school students how to make Tylenol, and that was the best experience I've had. So you feel free to ask me about co-op, about getting involved, courses, anything, and I'll pass it off to the next student.
Okay. Yep. So I'll go. My name is Joshua. I go by he, him pronouns. So I am involved in MNS Society. And definitely, if you're in first year, join our Discord server for MNS. It is a great way to meet new people, to talk to upper years and ask questions and stuff. So definitely do that. And yeah, you'll have fun. We do have events planned, and we're always trying to come up with new ideas. So if you have an idea, MNS Society will probably run it. Yep. And so I am in co-op as well. I worked at the IQC. That's probably my favorite co-op so far. I was helping build a quantum computer with a prof, and so far it's running okay. Doing some just experiments and stuff. So I definitely love research, so I can help answer any questions you have about co-op and research and etc. And I don't know if I mentioned I'm in 4A as well. Yeah.
All right. So my name is Catherine. I'm in my 2A of chemistry. I'm actually from Waterloo, so if you have any questions about the area or anything like that, can definitely answer those. I haven't had a chance to do a co-op term yet. That's in the winter for me, so definitely looking forward to that, but maybe not the person to ask questions about that. And yeah, so it's my first year being an orientation leader, so having a good time, and hopefully I can do that in the future, maybe in person. So yeah.
Hi, I'm Michael. I just finished my 2B term of chemical physics. I'm also in co-op, and will be starting my second co-op term in, I guess now. I am working with a engineering prof, Alfred Yu, in an ultrasound lab, and my current research project is figuring out a way to make artificial arteries that can simulate low-level calcium buildup in the artery walls. And the idea is that it'll be applied to the astronauts on the ISS because we've noticed that calcium builds up more in their arteries. Yeah, and I volunteered at the Science C&D in the past on-campus terms, so I can, if you're interested in that, I can answer some questions about that as well.
So I think there might be a problem with the chat function for people to type questions in there. So I think what we were doing is if anyone has a question, they can unmute themselves and ask, and we'll go from there.
I think you have to also click like the raise hand button. That also helps. So it's at like the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you click the 3 dots button that says more actions, you can click raise your hand and I'll call on anyone that has a question, and then we can decide which panelist or advisor would like to answer it.
Don't be shy. We're all here to help.
All right. So Ethan, if you would like to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, this is for Lily and Joshua, and it's about the co-op terms for MNS specifically. How do you determine which co-op you are assigned to? Does it have to do with like your grades of some kind or something like that?
Okay, I'll take this one. So what you do is you have to apply to co-op yourself. There's like you can use Waterloo Works, and you can apply outside of that website as well for your co-op. So it just depends on what the employer decides. So if you can, if you have a good resume and if you have a good interview with them, that's how you get your co-op. You're not assigned to it or anything. You have to kind of do a bit of searching yourself for finding your co-op.
I think I'll add in, so the co-op process doesn't start until you're in your 2B term. So in 2A, you would actually be taking like a professional development course. It will help you prepare a resume, interview skills, and then also that term, which is the semester before your work term. Waterloo Works is just like a massive university-wide database of jobs, and employers come and put their postings up. As a student, you are free to see any jobs available to all students, and then you apply to the ones that you think you would like or that apply to you, and then you do go through an interview process. So, and then hopefully you get matched with a job, and then you have a wonderful work term. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
So there's also a question in the chat here from Alita. She's asking, should we put our high school work experience in our resume for our co-op?
I'd say, oh yeah,
you go ahead. You can.
Okay, sure. Definitely go for your first co-op, go for that for sure. Because the most important thing is like skills you learn, even if it doesn't relate to the job you're applying. Whatever soft skills you gain from your work experience is so useful. And it can help you find a co-op just by showing that like you have learned so and so. And when you do your professional development course, they will tell you more about how you can effectively communicate that in your resume and in interviews as well. So definitely putting high school work experience on a resume is good for your first few times applying.
I just want to add to that. So I think it's kind of hard to get experience in fields like this without co-op and like in high school. So I think another thing you could look for is volunteer opportunities to, again, develop like the soft skills that were mentioned before.
One of the things we were also encouraged to do in first year when applying to our first co-op, or second year, I guess, was to put relevant coursework. So if you took a course that you think is relevant to the job you're applying to, you can also state that under your education section on your resume.
My first co-op job, which was with the National Research Council of Canada, so pretty amazing thing to land for first co-op. It was because I had a little work experience, but what got me the job was volunteering with, it's called Let's Talk Science, and you go, maybe not anymore, to high school or elementary classrooms, and then you teach a lesson. And it turns out the interviewer was like, I did that too, cool. And that's how I got the next jobs after that, was because of that one volunteering experience. So yeah, just try things, I guess.
Yeah, to add to that, so my first co-op job, I'm returning to the same lab that I did my first co-op. But one of the the thing that really stuck out on my resume to the employers that I found really surprising, but I'm happy I included, was that for a couple years in high school, I worked at a chicken farm, and they were very interested with that because it just happened that someone in the lab was looking at doing a PhD student was looking at doing research with embryos and stuff, and a chicken egg is a very convenient and easy thing to work with. So they're like, hey, chicken eggs, and it was so you never know what might stick out on your resume to an employer. So even, and yeah, like the barn, there's no real obvious connection between a research job with ultrasound and chickens, but it worked out. So you never know, even if you're unsure, it never hurts to put something that you did in high school on your resume, because it could land you a really cool job in the long run you would never guess.
So the next question we have is, can we still volunteer with Let's Talk Science?
So that is to be determined. Right now, everything's kind of transitioning, but they're trying to go for more online approaches because classes are still in session. Hopefully sometime this term, there will be more information that pops up about volunteering opportunities, both online and maybe in person. We'll have to see.
Is there a social media or something that they can follow for Let's Talk Science to get those updates?
I'm not sure at the moment.
Yeah,
I can
Science Outreach. Science Outreach. If you Google Science Outreach and go to the Science Outreach page, they'll have all of those links there.
Perfect. So then our next question is from Grace in the chat. She's asking, where can they find the Discord links or any other important info about clubs?
I'm not sure. Like, we can invite you to the Discord. I'm not sure if there's like a Facebook page running for science students this year, like they always do. I know that every year there's like a new science Facebook page, and we could probably post the Discord links there. and people can join that. There's usually group chats that are also started for like physical science and whatever. Yeah, so we should see about that.
I think actually something useful would be, so we have something called the Science Society at Waterloo. So in the Faculty of Science, all the science clubs like Phys Club, MNS Society, Chem Club are all run by, it's called SciSoc. And they do have a Facebook page. And yes, and we can look to getting those links posted on other media areas too, I guess.
Yep. So there's actually also a science showcase event on Friday where all of these clubs will be talking and advertising for their clubs and telling you how you can get involved. So I would say if you're specifically interested in the club, usually if you Google it, all of their social media will just come up right away. And then if you want to hear more information about getting involved with clubs, definitely attend the science showcase event on Friday. And then we also have a raised hand here. Rashawn, if you would like to unmute yourself.
Hi, so my question is not very specific to any program course, but I think my question is about how does the co-op term work hand in hand with the academic? Like, is it just maybe 6 months of work, or do you actually manage your university studies along with your co-op every day? I mean, how does it work through?
I can speak to that if that works. So it's Dr. Ingram, the chemistry advisor. So after your first year, so in your first year of university, you go to school from September to January, that's one term. January to April, that's one term. And then you have your, what we call our spring term off in your first year. So that would be May to the end of August. Then you start your second year, and then you actually alternate a school term with a work term, with a school term, with a work term. So in we call 2A, which is your first term of your second year, that's September to December. That's a school term. During that school term, you will be applying for and interviewing for co-op jobs. When you get matched, you actually leave school in January and do a 4-month work term. And then after that 4-month work term, you come back for a 4-month school term, and then you go off for a 4. So then your terms kind of alternate between a school term and a co-op term.
Great question. So there's also a question in the chat that says, how will clubs work this year? So like I mentioned a second ago, there will be the science showcase event on Friday where these clubs will be sharing more information about how each club is specifically running. But I know a lot of the clubs under Science Society will be running virtually. So there will be virtual events for students to attend, like Jackbox Games Night, for example, or a trivia night, and they'll be hosted over video call. So although there won't be in-person events, there will be lots of ways to get involved over your computer. And then if any of the panelists would like to add to that, go ahead.
It's an evolving situation for sure. And we hope to figure a bit more out depending on what students want throughout the term.
Yeah, for sure. And then Julie also just posted a link in our chat here, if you can access it, to all of the departmental clubs. So if you click that link, all of the social medias for the departmental clubs under Science Society will be posted there. And then make sure to attend the event on Friday if you want to speak with students in those clubs and hear a little bit more information about how things are going to work with the whole virtual situation. So if anyone has any last questions they would like to post in the chat. Okay, so Sydney is asking, I have never volunteered online before. What can I expect that to be like?
I'm not sure I can answer that because it really depends on what you're doing. Yeah, I'm unfortunately, I think you'd have to dig into some more research on how you can contribute. Yeah, sorry about that.
It also depends on...
I'll add to that really quickly though.
Yeah.
we totally understand you've never volunteered online. Most clubs and everything, they've actually never had it online either, because this is our first time in this situation. So just roll with it. There's going to be a lot of unknowns, but it's going to give you an opportunity to expand your skill set, to learn a little more. And so just because you've never volunteered online, don't let that hold you back in any way at all, because we've never done this online either. We're all kind of figuring it out together.
A question I'm seeing, what, maybe for all the panels can ask, including myself, what is the favorite course from first year, if anyone has one? I guess I'm already talking, so I can go. For me, I think the favorite thing I took was the Chem 120 lab. It was really cool to get an experience with some like real experiments, because in high school we had the labs we did was kind of mixed, and nothing super, not intense, but like they're kind of basic labs in high school, at least in my experience. But in university, you get to do some really cool ones.
I'm going out with my 5 meters, so we're gonna grab lunch together.
Unfortunately, I am not 100% sure what the first year labs are going to be like online. I don't, maybe one of the advisors may have a better idea. But yeah, they were some really cool stuff.
So I definitely also loved my first year lab courses. I thought they were really fun. All the TAs I had were really amazing. And same with Sue, who I think is the instructor for both I think you guys take 121 now, but last year we had 120. I think it's the same kind of thing. But anyways, yeah, she was great. But I'm going to go ahead and say that my favorite course last year was actually an elective I took. I think it was Earth 123, which is offered in the winter, I believe. It was just kind of a general environmental science class. And I thought it was really fun, really interesting. And it covered a lot of topics. So it was like a big, broad overview. And I learned a lot in it. So I thought it was really good.
Okay, I'd say that my favorite first year course had to be MNS 101. So for all of you MNS students out there, you'll like really love this course. You learn so much about like material science and just like new and upcoming things. I took it with Rob Hill, but like still shouldn't have changed too much. And Rick Marta will do a fantastic job as well. Yeah, it just gets you primed for like a material scientist mindset, and it's just like a fun time overall, I'd say for sure. Like, yeah, it's just really interesting stuff.
My favorite course in first year was actually also an elective, Math 114. It was not mandatory for chemistry students. So it's introductory linear algebra, and I'm actually from Alberta, so we had never seen linear algebra before. And just the professor I had was so enthusiastic, and I think it's one of my all-time favorite university courses in general, just because of like the passion that he taught with. Yeah, and it was good.
All right, so we do have another hand. Naz, if you want to unmute yourself and share your question.
Oh, I apologize if this was already answered. I just left for a moment. What's the difference between Chem 120 and Chem 121? Because they are anti-requisites, but I heard there's like, I don't know, some distinction between the two.
I guess I would be the person to answer that. Chem 120 and Chem 121 are both introductory chem courses. The content in both are very similar, but Chem 121 is, I maybe shouldn't use the word special, it's unique in that it is the majors. So Chem 121 has biochemists, chemists, medicinal chemists, and MNS. And so it's just a special offering of intro chem for the majors. Chem 120 is general chem for everybody in science who's not in a chem-based program. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks. That helps a lot.
So we have another question in the chat. Grace is asking, are there any interesting or useful electives you'd recommend us take in later years?
So I guess I'll just start. So the electives I've taken included Math 114, Linear Algebra. I took German 101. I took French, like first year French, both. There's 2 intro courses. I've also taken other chem courses as my electives. So there's one that Dr. Forsey teaches about like how you scale up manufacturing of like pharmaceuticals, and it was just all around a cool and fun course. As an elective, you can take anything from pretty much any faculty, so whether it's arts, so the languages I mentioned, or even sometimes engineering courses if you're that into that. There's a lot of offerings, and I think it's really hard to say, but I personally found that Math 114 was very helpful because chemistry does have math in upper years, but I think everyone has a bit of a different experience.
I'll also add that if you're unsure of what electives to take, you can reach out to your academic advisors and just say, I'm interested in these areas of chemistry, or I'm just looking for an interesting elective or something useful I could take in my first year as my first elective. Do you have any recommendations? And they can totally work with you if you're lost. And then definitely click that link from the presentation that was shared earlier to the course listings, and you can read through the course descriptions of different courses, and usually you can find something that you're interested in or that you want to know more about, and then that's usually how people choose their electives. All right, so Naz has another question, if you want to unmute yourself.
In our second term, when we do have the elective, are we allowed to like take it in the summer or spring term, as you said, to like lessen the workload during the winter term?
Wondering if an advisor can put their input here.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, you can definitely do that. And we do have students that take an elective on a spring term or take an elective on a co-op term. One of the bonuses of COVID being online is there is a lot more opportunities to take courses during your off terms because things are offered online, so you can take them in your co-op and stuff. I will just put out a warning, is definitely check with an advisor before deciding that, because there could be implications on whether you remain as a full-time student or a part-time student. Do you have scholarships that make you have to take a particular course load? Are you a international student with a visa? So yes, you can do that, but definitely consult with an advisor before making those decisions.
Thank you.
I've just been notified that there's also a hand up from Rashawn. Rashawn, do you have a question you wanted to share?
No, I think my question was answered. Thank you.
Okay, perfect.
Maybe a question for the advisors pertaining to online term. Is there a chance that the in-person or like remote term will change partway through the fall term, or is it just going to stay the same?
As far as remote going to in-person, that won't happen. The fall term is, if you have a remote course for the fall term, it is designated as a remote course, and they won't be changing it to in-person halfway through.
Is my mic working now?
Yeah.
It wasn't stopped working. I don't know. I'll just say one thing about advisors and helping with electives. I'm terrible at that. I don't know what French or arts courses, or I can help with some chem electives, but yeah, I don't know how about the other advisors feel, but I don't know what else to take in others. So don't ask me about electives too much. Just being truthful there.
Well, yeah, and so to build up on that, I get all the time, well, what should I take as my elective? And my answer is, well, what are you interested in? And that's where you have to start. I mean, my favorite elective, maybe it was a few years ago now, but my favorite elective was a public speaking course. So, I mean, some people like classical mythology, some people like, and so electives are there to round out your university experience. And so there is no, you should take this particular elective, okay? If you are doing a minor in something, then yes, you should take electives that build to your minor, but overall, electives are just to round out your university experience and just to follow some kind of passion or interest that you might have had that you otherwise wouldn't get any exposure to.
I'll add to this as well. So one thing we didn't mention here, and this I think this is true for Laura and Steve and myself, we're all previous Waterloo undergrads, and so I did honors chemistry. I'm now an MNS guy, but I'm a chemist, and my favorite courses, like Lily here, so Lily, good for you. I actually really liked linear algebra. It was required for me at the time, but I liked it so much that I took the second linear algebra 2, as an elective because I enjoyed it. So I think the most important thing is exactly what I just said there, is that you enjoy it. If you enjoy it, even if the course is hard, you're going to do better. Trust me. Okay, so pick what you like. That's what's most important. It's going to make your experience better. You'll learn something new, and you'd be surprised how it may connect to something else like you didn't, that you didn't expect it to. So that's my 2 cents, so to speak.
Something that I did for when I realized I had a bunch of free electives, that I just kind of went through the course lists of different things and just kind of scanning through and like, oh, that looks cool, or that looks interesting, and I'll like write them down and see how I can fit them into when I have free spaces in my schedule in undergrad, and just kind of go from there. So like an interest of mine a lot was our music courses. So and there's a lot of really cool different types of music courses that you can do. There's ensemble, there's music theory, but there's also different like history / listening courses that you can do. So one I did in first year was Introduction to Jazz, which I found really interesting. So there's we have so I had a jazz singer from Toronto. She would come in every week, and we'd go through like the history of jazz and its origins in United States, and kind of go through the different examples of music, and kind of go through what the different styles sound like, and notes on how they evolved and changed with different things. And the tests were kind of a mixture of like identifying songs. Sometimes it would be being able to identify a new song based off of what you know of what the style was of a certain period, or identifying who a specific musician was and why they're important, if they are a major contributor in some like big change in the style of music. So there's things like that. Another one I just finished was the Harry Potter English course, which was really cool. You go through and look at the books and different elements, but also something that they did with us was a house cup challenge, where you you self-identify as one of the 4 houses, and there was little competitions throughout the term, and to see who would get the most points by the end of the term. So there's a lot of really cool options. I just recommend browsing at some point all the different courses, and then maybe you'd be surprised what types of courses that they offer here. There's a lot.
Okay, I also have like a good elective that I took. I took the history of the Beatles in the 60s. That was like a phenomenal course. I loved the instructor, and I listened to so much Beatles music in my spare time, just like walking to and from classes and walking to class every day. Like, it made the experience so much better, and it helped me analyze music a lot better. So now when I just like listen to music in general, I can like analyze like, hey, this kind of sounds like that. Was it influenced by that? And it changes the way you think about stuff as well. So definitely um, look into electives and etc. You'll find something that you didn't think you'd be that into, but then you get into it and it's phenomenal. Yeah.
All right, so some great insight on electives from all of our panelists. We have a question from Gabriella in the chat here. She has a general question about her class schedule. All of her class times and dates are TBA. Will there be a schedule given out for live classes, or will we be expected to view pre-recorded lectures on our own time? So maybe an advisor would like to answer that one.
Laura?
Yeah.
I think that's first year. Okay.
So the general idea is that the majority of your work or your course resources are what we call asynchronous. So they are little videos, little activities that you can do on your own schedule. That is the general approach of the university. And part of the reason for that is if you take a look at Chem 120 or Chem 120L, okay, there's 1,400 people. So our Chem 121 is smaller. It's only 200 people, but trying to get 200 people on the same schedule is very difficult virtually. There might be little snippets of a synchronous, so an all-together session. So in Chem 121, we're going to have Monday mashup on Monday morning at 10 o'clock, if that works. And it's going to be a synchronous event for anybody that can attend. If you can't, it's going to be recorded and posted, so you do have access to everything. That is what the university is encouraging. I can't speak for specific instructors as to what's going to happen, but I think you can expect that most of your stuff will be available online for you to use whenever it works for your schedule. That being said, you will find out all of these details when Learn goes live on September 8th, and you'll get your information then. And each course is going to be a little bit different, and that's what you're going to have to learn to balance, is that each course will have a little bit of a different expectation, a different schedule, and that kind of thing. So hopefully that answers the question.
As a student, I kind of want to add, because this is totally new for us upper years as well. I plan on just downloading and just a scheduler app, and then figuring out like 3 hours a week per course plus labs, whatever, and then make up a little schedule, and then I'm going to try to follow that. Maybe that might be helpful for you, like other panelists. Do you have plans?
Yeah.
You go first.
Yeah. So I just finished a school term that was fully online, and I definitely at the beginning struggled to keep up with things because I didn't have a schedule, and I had kind of gotten used to a kind of structured day. You know, be in this lecture hall at 9:30 every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Be here, that kind of stuff. So I would highly recommend trying to create a structure to your day. It'll help things, in my experience, move a lot smoother, because a lot of my profs still had an upload schedule for their lectures. So they would generally post a video on Monday morning, Wednesday morning, Friday morning, or Tuesday morning, Thursday. So you can kind of work around that. And another thing I highly recommend that I had to fix myself is I found at home it was really easy to just kind of stay up later and later and later doing schoolwork, but I find that it was just not worth it. I got a lot more done when I had an earlier bedtime and woke up earlier. Because it'll, as well with like how due dates work, or some due dates with courses, it's just easier to I found it was just easier to have make sure that I don't kind of start becoming a night owl during the term.
All right, so I will take one more question after Mira's question in the chat, and then we have a few finishing slides. So Mira's question is, how many hours of schoolwork should we expect to do per week on average with the online situation?
Maybe I'll answer this one initially. The online experience is really the workload is not any greater online than it is on campus. Although you may feel that it's actually more work, because when you're on campus, sometimes you're not really working as hard as you should be, and you're delaying everything, and then all of a sudden before the final, you start studying. So you really need to keep up with the work. And what's neat about the online experience is that you are forced to keep up with the work. And so this summer I taught a class of 270 students, and a lot of them felt they were overworked, and I had to say, no, this is the same amount as if you were taking on campus. It's just that you weren't used to doing it at home. You're used to working in groups, so maybe at in a room somewhere or just in a coffee shop. And so the idea of making a schedule is really important. So you're looking at about 10 hours per class a week. You should be putting in 40, 50 hours of study time a week. Treat this like a job. It's a lot of work. And so get that schedule, put in at least 1 to 3 hours per course per week, depends on, a day. Put in a 7-hour day at least every day. For me, when I worked weekends on schoolwork as well. I wasn't the brightest, so I had to work constantly. Every weekend, every day. School is probably harder than a real job, because a real job you can just shut off and go back, do nothing. But schoolwork, you always have another assignment to do. So having that schedule, also doing some downtime is important. Yeah, anyways, I'm going on like an old man, I am. You guys, maybe some of the students have some comments.
Yeah, definitely I'd recommend breaking up things. A couple times I would get into the habit of just doing just straight nonstop work for multiple hours, and then the next day I would just be drained, and I was having difficulty focusing, and then that becomes an issue because of the constant online term. It's a little less forgiving for just kind of coasting a bit more because of the way it's structured. It's less easy to kind of do less work every once in a while, and then the final comes and you can do a bunch of work all at once. And because a lot of the time you'll be at a computer all day, and that can be hard on your eyes. You'll be sitting down at a computer desk, so that could be maybe hard on your back. So every once in a while, just getting up and going on a walk or getting a snack or something is a very good and I guess healthy study habit to get into for this term and moving forward as well.
All right, so we're just coming up on sort of the end of our time since we have a few more slides. So we do have a few questions about minors in the chat. If an advisor wants to talk briefly about minors, the questions are, when do we need to decide which minor they want to take, and will minors delay their graduation?
So from advisor's perspective, that's a very general question for a very specific situation. It really depends on what the minor is and what the minor requirements are. You don't need to do a minor yet. So I would figure out one first and then start talking to advisors if you haven't.
Also, a minor is generally with another faculty. So if you want a minor in math or minor in biology, then you need to talk to an advisor in that discipline. So you really need their approval. The chemistry program is, with all those electives, is the best program if you want to do a minor. MedChem, to do a minor, that's going to take you longer, or take 6 courses a term. But chemistry, if you want to do a minor, that is the best program to be in, because there's, and really it really set up with all those electives to allow you to take, say, math minor or biology minor, do all those extra things. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So, about what's the best option for you and what that will mean for your degree. So our last question here in the chat is from Sophie, and she's asking, will we be expected to remember everything from high school? She's just curious because her calculus teacher skipped the vectors unit.
I guess personal. I actually took a year off between high school and university, so I forgot a lot of things. The purpose of first year is really to get all students on the same page, because you're coming from around the world, right? Even different school boards in Ontario teach different things. I mean, it is helpful if you remember some things, but usually the first couple days of classes, you'll get a better understanding of like, oh, wow, maybe I should just do a quick review. But I wouldn't worry too much until you actually start classes and you know the content. Yeah.
I can put in my personal experience here. One of the things is to assume that you do know it. And I did that with, I was actually in biology in first year, and I switched into chemistry in my third year. But I assumed I knew what's the topic, and I said, oh, I got that. And then the first midterm comes along, and bang, I fail. So I think, I think it's better that if you feel like you don't remember it, it's actually better, because you go in and you make sure you do know it, as opposed to going, I know that, and then finding out on the term test that you really don't. So that was cautionary tale.
All right, so since that was our last question, I'm just going to share my screen with a few closing slides, and then we'll end our session here. All right. So this slide is just sort of outlining how things will be a little bit different in university instead of high school. So some of you are going to be living on your own, and some of you may still be living at home with the online environment, but there will be preparation for your online classes and studying afterwards. And you'll have to balance those things with your life tasks like self-care, still making time for your family and friends, doing your laundry, getting lots of proper sleep, and maybe if you want to incorporate some part-time jobs or volunteering or joining clubs. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind, is that university will be a little bit different from high school, but it's just all about learning how to balance your life for your personal schedule. So things that you can do to thrive in university, we have a few things listed here, like practicing self-care, learning and practicing healthy study habits early. So you will want to get into a routine when you start your classes in September, and finding a balance between your academics and your personal development. So if you are taking on part-time job opportunities or volunteer experience or joining clubs, just make sure that you balance that with your academics and the other things you have going on in your life as well. You'll want to plan ahead and manage your time wisely. So a few of our panelists talked about using calendars, work back schedules. So you just want to remember your deadlines and still get some social time and have a work-life balance. You can also use online instructors and TA office hours and their other availability to get that help with the online environment. So usually when school is in person, we'll attend TA office hours or instructor office hours, and a lot of those things will still be offered online. So do make sure to use them if you need extra support in your courses. And the last piece of advice we can give is always ask questions and ask for help. and the sooner the better. So you want to ask questions when you start to be confused, not when you're completely lost in a course, and then you'll hopefully be able to thrive in your first year of university. So what's next? Fall 2020 classes begin on Tuesday, September 8th, as I'm sure all of you know. You'll want to start thinking about if you need to buy materials and what you do need. So in terms of textbooks, you can check UWaterloo Booklook for a list of your textbooks that you'll need for your specific courses. And then you can either purchase those at the W store from Waterloo or look online elsewhere for online copies to purchase. If it is relevant to your program and your studies, you'll need to complete WMIS requirements through Learn. It's required for most labs, so you will want to look into that. And your instructors will give more information on that during the first week of class. You'll also want to make sure to check your Waterloo emails regularly. That's usually how your instructors are going to communicate with you, if not through Learn. So make sure to maybe do like a daily check of those just in case you missed something. And then you'll want to start thinking about selecting your courses for winter 2020. So as we said, browse the undergraduate calendar, which is linked in this presentation, and choose your elective courses if applicable, which we said isn't to some of the programs in this chat, but it is to some of you. So you'll want to start thinking about that as soon as you can. So yeah, that's the end of our presentation. Thank you all for coming. And thank you to our panelists and advisors for answering all of those questions. If you do have any additional questions, you can ask them in your Waterloo Ready communities with your orientation leaders, and they will try and get you the best answer from within our little network of leaders, coordinators, and advisors. Yeah, thanks everyone for coming. I hope you have a great rest of your afternoon. And this recording will also be posted.
Yeah, thanks everybody for attending. Bye.
Thanks, guys. I look forward to